of Ter'Ra'Mentia. I'm Kurt from Coldfire Role Playing Games, and today I want to give you the 10,000 foot view of all the core 18 playable classes in the game. We've spent a lot of time getting really sweaty, really nerdy with walls of text in each of our class reveal videos, but today I want to put on screen and talk about what makes each class, what gives it its flavor and its strong class identity, because it's something that we are so proud of and really helps set us apart from some other games. We've been pounding the pavement hard, out talking to many different game shops. The reception has been amazing. We are looking forward to this Thursday, September 21st, being at FanX, Salt Lake City, Utah. If you're in the state of Utah or if you're at the event, please come by our booth, number 2537. Say hello. We'll be more than happy to talk to you about all things in the world of Ter'Ra'Mentia. But we need your help to get this Kickstarter off the ground and get our game in your hands. We are so confident in the lore and the system and everything that comes along with it. It's an all-in-one book, so it's a player's guide, it's a GM guide, it's an enemy codex with templates for you to make your own as well. We have items, magical items, and lore just jam-packed into this thing. It really should be 3 to 4 books, but you know, being that we're a smaller company, we're trying to smash it all into one. So it's power-packed. So the Kickstarter link is below. For now, let's talk about these classes and their identity and see what makes each one each. I would like to talk about it in the order of my favorites, but we're going to go alphabetically and talk about each one briefly just to give you that overview of what each one does and what the class flavor is. Something to keep in mind as we go is that we have a very open system. So when you're a class that's building into mana and willpower, it is no problem at character creation to specialize in a greatsword as well. It's really up to you. So having said that, we'll take a look at some of the key things that make each class cool. So we're going to start off with the Arcane Scholar. You are a student of the arcane arts. You have the big brains. You pursue magical knowledge and have a voracious appetite to unlock its secrets. This class has a lower health pool and focuses primarily on mana as a resource pool. While most of our classes make use of both spirit and mana, the Arcane Scholar is highly specified into strictly mana. You're a student of magic, you perform mental gymnastics on a daily basis, you are an arcane well, and you have the scholarly pursuit. 3 build paths for you to go down as you're leveling up is the Arcane, the Psychic, and Blue Flame. The Arcane branch can do damage with arcane missiles, arcane weapons, arcane armor, boosts to magic, and teleport self, or teleport others. The Psychic branch can dip into things like levitate person and levitating objects, creating psychic armor and shattering reality. While with the Blue Flame, you can leave trails of it as you run down a hallway, summon large walls of it, light your enemies on magical fire. The Arcane Scholar has access to some spells like Wormhole and Arcane Clarity, as well as flying. You specialize in arcane awareness, sensing magic throughout the world, and learning what it does. The Arctic Druids hail from the southernmost regions of Ter'Ra'Mentia, where the snow falls the most. You command the forces of nature, communicate with animals, and are a custodian of the land. You might have even fought off the Winter Sorex, raiding in the southern coasts. Arctic Druid is a class that can make use of both spirit or mana, or specialize in one or the other. Spirit can be used for things like healing, removing wound counters, giving buffs to your party, or removing debilitating effects, whereas mana can be used for controlling the forces of cold and the forces of lightning. They boast spells such as Crackle, Freezing Strike, Create Ice, and Control Wind. They can also summon a spirit animal, use an ice shield, and have ice diffusion and regeneration, topping it all off with Blizzard and Cleansing Breeze. Astral Priests were once, or are, members of the Watch, a coalition of priests that was formed long ago in ancient times after the First Dragon War. They are custodians of the universe and seek to learn all of its secrets. They offer astral guidance, an astral bond. They have temple training, and they can be a well of arcane or light. Astral priests are unique in that they use sanity to calculate their willpower and their spirit power. This is the only class in the game that does it. Again, here we see the spirit pool being used for things like purifying light, healing aura, sunlight, and spells that can, in general, help your party. They also have the ability to create time wells, resetting the speed rotation in a combat encounter, tossing everything on its ear. They read into the universe and can sling out arcane missiles just as well as the arcane scholar, but they have their own way of doing it. They call down arcane starlight rays and sun hammers, and they have the ability to toy with fate and destiny. The Azure wizards hold their roots with the mages of Antiris Kuna down in the Azure Fortress. They're also students of magic, but they have different build paths than the arcane scholar. They also focus on enchanting. They have access to the cold fire spells. Although the Azure Wizard shares a couple of spells with the Arcane Scholar like Hidden Script and Locate Magic, they really set themselves apart with Disenchant and Enchanting. They have Warding Circles. They also have Blue Flames, Create Ice, Frost Daggers and Ice Rays, Tornado Blasts. This class likes to focus on pure mana as well for casting. Moving on to the Blood Shaman, traditions dating back to the tribal mortal humans that were pushed off of the Colossal Salt Rise. These shamans have bloody divination, self-sacrifice. They use blood rituals and blood infusions. They have spells like Combat Inspiration, Hemorrhage, Spiritual Inspiration, Adrenaline Boost, For the Tribe, Sweeping Crescent, Curse, Festering Wounds. They are wise people that you do not want to cross. They are also a class that can be built for support. The Desert Sorcerer. So we're very magic heavy, very caster heavy in the first half of the list here, just going alphabetically. But Desert Sorcerers are nomads with inherent natural gifts. They're a master of flame, and their natural magic allows them to cast spells without having to spend a mana or spirit cost. They are a Sea of Hope survivor, the Sea of Hope where no hope lies. They get bonuses to sanity checks and removing sanity counters from themselves. Although they are primary casters, they are also great with the weapon. The Desert Sorcerer focuses on 3 different elements: air, earth, and fire. Their spells are centered around this. They can summon air mimics, mold the land, cause desert quakes, shoot lightning bolts, summon a pillar of salt to stand upon, or summon a chaotic firestorm. They also gain a few martial abilities like Nomad Strike and Hardened Skin. The Druid of the Wilds hails from the Shifting Wilds, where Druid Keepers help shape and maintain the forest as it's constantly in flux, shifting around them. This class has 3 different build paths as well. It is highly specified into Spirit though. They can make use of poison magic, commune with nature, or heal their party, or remove debilitating effects. They also can summon Animalkin, but most of all, they make use of their shapeshifting. This is currently the only class in our 18 playable core classes that can do this. Towards the end of their leveling progression, they can use things like Rejuvenation, Poison Nova, Giant Eagle Form, and Living Lands. Moving on to the Flame Warden, this class has a medium health pool and makes great use of spirit or mana. They are masters of flames, as they honor the dragons that once protected Ter'Ra'Mentia. They seek to hand down the traditions of dragon aspects and teach others, keeping the old traditions alive. Flame Wardens nowadays can be custodians of the ancient dragon temples, keeping them intact. They have 2 major build paths set before them, one of flame and one of dragon aspects, where they can summon dragon tails to knock people down, use dragon sight to levitate up in the air and see for a very long distance. They can summon dragon claws, or they can create giant firewalls, shape metal, and flame blast their opponents. They also gain access to dragon armor crafting, something very, very rare in the game. The Flame Wardens have a fabled history, and to top off their leveling progression, they can use spells like Valixar's Breath, Valixar's Wings, and Valixar's Battle Plan. Moving on to the Necromancer / Spirit Caller. Ancient Savanian Spirit Callers. They know and understand the spirit world better than most, if not the best. This is another class that can make great use of spirit and mana. Their spirit pool can be used for defense with things like bone armor and spirit shield, spirit avatars, or it can also be used for support for the party. Their spirit pool can also be used for things like animating the dead and summoning skeletal mages. And while they're not using Spirit Touch, Soul Steal, or Ghost Beacon, they might be spending mana on things like From the Grave, Grasping Shadows, Possession, or a Black Flame Blade. They can even summon a skeletal mount. So whether you are a necromantic overseer in the graveyard, or someone who harkens back to their ancestors and considers themselves a vessel for the spirits to aid others, I think you'll have a great time playing this class. Now let's look at the Nether Touched. The Nether Touched were caught too close to one of the portals that were magically opening up in Ter'Ra'Mentia. Being too close to this magical event has changed you. You are now able to summon creatures from the Nether Realm. You can tether souls. You can push yourself beyond the limit using sanity to your advantage. You can transfer resources between your spirit and mana pools at will. You have medium ranged spells and a very low health pool. But fear not, as your Dark Fairy or Dark Sprite will be there to cheer you on as you enter battle. Notable things to have fun with here are spells like Forked Chaos Bolt, Summon Void Shield, Summon a Grounding Stone. This can help you alleviate sanity or also allow you to have extra summons. You sow Seeds of the Void. You're an Agent of Shadow and you're capable of doing void damage. Void damage in Ter'Ra'Mentia cannot be reduced. You also have access to summoning a Netherweave Bag. You can become unhinged, and you might have a Void Sanctuary. The Nether Touched is a great segue into the next class, which is the Nightmare Hunter. The Nightmare Hunter brings so much fun to the table. This class can focus on spirit or mana. They are an alchemist who also possesses martial ability. They can be built to support the party or push themselves beyond their limits through chemical compounds. Each day they can choose what alchemy they prepare. They have a list of concoctions that grows with each level. Potency of this alchemy can grow over time. They also start to learn to cope with what makes them a nightmare hunter, because they are plagued by nightmares, and each day this has a random effect on you. There are many concoctions ranging from an alchemist healing potion to a legendary potion of martial skill. Or if you really want to take your chances, you could try out the legendary chaos potion. Who knows? But you're able to prepare things like mana potions, lightning elixirs, spirit potions. You have Chains of the Hunter tonic. You have an elixir of arcane sight. There are so many possibilities here. It's really up to you each day what you're going to prepare and bring with you on your travels. Are you going to prepare things just for yourself, or are you going to help out your party? Next, we have the Planeswalker. This is a finesse-based class with a little bit lower health. They lean into spirit mostly, but can make very good use of mana to help their strategy on the battlefield. The Planeswalker likes to teleport around the battlefield, doing extra damage when they go first or when they step out of a portal. They also have abilities like Ambush Arrow, where they can launch an arrow or bolt through a tiny portal that can then appear behind their opponent. They can use Trick Shots, where your arrow may travel a certain distance, dip into a portal, take a hard right turn, 90 degrees, pop out another portal, and hit your target. This class enjoys going first in combat and has different ways to help achieve that. However, you are also curse marked. Your powers did not just come out of anywhere. Your skin was touched by a demon, and that demon cursed you. You need to discover what that curse is and what effects it can have upon you. This can provide a great opportunity to work with your game master, but we have some effects written into the game that can help you move along that path. When reaching 0 health, you have the possibility of teleporting away. It could be 20 feet, or it might be to another realm, but this is part of your curse. You are cursed to walk the plains. Let's talk about Reavers. Reavers are elite warriors of Breator Hold, and the tribes of humans send them out to patrol the lands in the Ravaged Prominence. Reavers are very good with very large weapons, but believe it or not, they actually can have a dual wield mastery as well. You pair very well with Blood Shamans, hailing from the same heritage, and you focus primarily on spirit. You have access to Fury, where you can add additional damage to your strikes. You also have Blood Rage. When you're below half health, you also do increased damage, and this damage grows over time. You have the Calm Between Battle, when you soothe yourself and regain spirit, you can be patiently waiting before the next time your blood rage kicks in. So if you like doing power leaps, staggering strikes, pain suppression, have a volatile nature, or like the ability to do well outnumbered, this might be the class for you. The Shadow Step. The Shadow Step is a finesse-based class that has very little health, but they're very mobile. They live in the shadows. They pride themselves on being untraceable. They have access to dual wield mastery. They can be expert infiltrators, and their shadow steps grow over time. They don't have the largest ability list in the world, but the ones they do are very impactful. Things like Assassinate, Speed Attack, Hidden Script, Reposition, Fleet-Footed, Locate Magic, Poison Blade, and Shadow Strike. At higher levels, they can also summon a shadow clone of themselves, fooling their opponents. If you're from the Midnight Fortress, you've definitely heard of the Shadow Templars. Or if you've heard of the sacking of Sunflow City, you've also heard of the Shadow Templars. They are well known throughout the lands. This Axian tradition makes use of smithing and forging. You have a very large presence on the battlefield. You specialize in taunting your opponents to protect your allies. You can cast Shadow Bolts, but you also have anti-magic capability. You have a Templar's Resolve, a Protectorate stance, and excel at frontline coordination. Shadow Templars also have the ability to shape the earth. They are very much in tune with the stone that they carry with them. They focus their power through this stone to use many abilities and spells. Some of their spells and abilities are Diamond Skin, Improved Shield Wall, Shadow Quakes, Gravity, Black Hole, Disorientating Mist, and One with the Stone. They also make a great segue to the Solar Guardian, another mostly martial class. Solar Guardians have very high health, and they are also capable of protecting their allies with taunts. They are combat masters and bastions of Ter'Ra'Mentia. They are the elite guard that works for the Queen. They work hand in hand with the Solar Witches, and they are responsible for holding off the invading Red Draconium at the sacking of Sunflow City. They excel against doing damage against demons, and they are great with a shield and with a two-handed weapon. As the Queen's elite, you have abilities and spells such as Charge, Block and Slash, Defensive Stance, Light Ray, Battery, Crown of Phratis, Demon Slayer, Sunstorm, Aid, Jumping White Flames, and Heal Other. So you can make use of Spirit and Mana effectively. Spirit is going to be your mainstay, but there's a lot of damage to be gained off of the mana side of your build. The Queen's Champion is a Solar Guardian, and is coincidentally also the champion of Starina Coliseum currently. The Solar Witch. Solar Witches move into battle closely behind the front line of the Solar Guardians, supporting them, either blasting massive sun rays and bolts of light over the front lines, or providing healing, soothing rays. They have the ability to move into spirit or mana resource pools and use them effectively. Solar Witches can inspire or wreck confidence, expose their enemies, create blinding auras, eclipses. They can take on an eclipsing form. They can cast Solar Curse, or be a beacon of healing. They can purge beneficial effects from a target, or remove debilitating effects from their allies. The current Queen of Ter'Ra'Mentia is indeed a Solar Witch. To gain this elite training, you first had to have an innate ability for casting magic. And that brings us to number 18, Warrior, the Weapon Master. This class is a veritable man-at-arms. They have the most weapon and armor specializations in the game, and can switch between them effectively. They are combat masters. They are weapon masters. They have two-handed weapons training as well as dual-wield mastery. They have a warrior's resolve, can become unstoppable, and have the ability Shatter Point. The more they train, the more damage they can do. They have a warrior's heart that can also perform leaping assaults. They're a student of war, figuring out what their enemies do. You can be a slayer, perform a flurry of attacks, use an offensive stance, a defensive stance, or in the end, you might have the ability No Equal or Heroic Leap. So if you like being good with all sorts of weapons, this class is definitely the one for you. We're so proud of the class identities in our game. It really gives people inspiration to cling on to as they develop and think about who their character is and what they do or want to achieve. You are in control as to whether or not you're going down the path of life, force, and mind, and how that's going to work to your benefit or against you. True, while some classes focus specifically on one or the other, overall, most of them can make great use of both. And further classes that we have designed, and some that are untested, and some in line for the Kickstarter, can make use of both as well. Moving forward, it's always our goal to have that hybrid nature so people can experience many different strategies with their character and have options of how they want to build them. But we also recognize that some people want that specificity, that they want that hyper focus. So we try to offer both, leaning more to the classes that can make use of both playstyles. Magic is abundant in our world. So thanks again for coming along on the journey. Thanks again for making it this far in the video and to supporting our game, our channel. Help us get this out here. Check out our Kickstarter today. We really could use your help. We're so confident in the lore and the amount of information and fun packed into this book that we've got to get it into your hands. Also, we'll be doing a live Q&A with gmshoe.worldpress.com. I think it'll be posted on the 26th. I'm not sure, but we'll be doing it on the 25th in Discord. So please look for that, as they'll be asking many critical questions and picking our brain about what's going on here. Thank you again, and next time we'll see you in the world of Ter'Ra'Mentia.